everybody! How are you doing today? So this week I wanted to cover a little bit of a different topic. Not really about fandom stuff, not really about politics stuff, but about gaming stuff. The reason I want to talk about gaming this week, I guess, is because despite me growing up and kind of... just growing up, clearly growing up, and being a furry fan and stuff like that, gaming was a big part of my youth. Gaming was a big part of my childhood, and I really loved the worlds and fascinating things that they presented to me, and all the mystery and the wonder that it brought. And you know, obviously, as an adult, you kind of see behind the curtains a little bit, and you become a little jaded. And so, the story here I'm getting into is that, you know, bringing that creativity into the thing, it's kind of inspired me to be creative in my adult life, which has helped me in a lot of pickles and stuff like that to think my way out of problems, thusly. So, needless to say, you know, when it comes to me playing video games, a lot of times I feel, you know, I became a little jaded in my older years because it's like I didn't have the time to and all that stuff, and you know, you kind of start to see patterns and stuff like that. So, but let's talk about Mario Maker. So, I didn't have a Wii U until Mario Maker. In fact, I bought the Mario Maker edition of the Wii U. Literally the one with the Mario Maker thing in the box and the little amiibo dude for like the little pixelated Mario amiibo dude came with it. And the reason I got it then is because my Wii U collected, or my Wii I should say, kind of, I felt like it was underutilized. Maybe thinking back, I did play it quite a bit, but I felt like I didn't get much use out of it. So I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm going to use the Wii U all that much. And then Mario Maker was announced, and that nostalgia just crept on me. And I don't mean nostalgia like playing Mario, because obviously, if playing Mario is the thing I was nostalgic for, then, you know, there's plenty of Mario levels out there that I could play. But I think a lot of people in their youth, and I certainly did, and I think a lot of people out there could speak from experience, that you had this pen and paper and you would draw levels on these little notepads. Like, you take a spiral notebook and you take a pencil and you like start designing levels on the paper, these little ideas in your head. It's like, oh man, this level is so cool. What if I designed it kind of in my own way or added my own little spin to things? And, you know, looking back at them, they probably suck. But you were 12 years old. Give yourself a break, all right? I know some of the things that I did in that designing is actually very big no-nos that a lot of people have made in a lot of Mario Maker videos, saying like, don't be a jerk with tricky death traps, like with pipes that you can't escape from and stuff like that. And I did that in my youth, because youth people are like, haha, it's so clever, look, I'm gonna make the player angry. And that's good level design. No, it's not, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So you get for me, someone like me, I got it all on my system when I was 12. And I think some other people who have Mario Maker when they're 12, you know, probably going to do the same things I did when I was 12, with pencils and papers. So you can't really fault them for it. So I'm going to talk about Mario Maker. How a level I designed just, like, so my name is Tantroo. If you're not here for my normal shtick, Tantroo Sunniest McNally is my full name. T.S. McNally for short. Tantroo and Sunniest are sort of two fandom names that I kind of merged into one, and now it's one big identity. Since I had identity crises during my youth, and apparently I still won't have it as an adult. Not at all. But this is what we call a perpetual midlife crisis, I guess. But that being said, the creativity that I use in the fandom and stuff like that, I also made my Mario Maker levels. So, but I already kind of had some experience with making Mario levels, like, because I designed some on paper and pencil, and I was like, there's this weird little thing you can make with game makers and stuff like that. So I toyed around with stuff in my youth. So as soon as they announced this thing, it's like, oh yeah, I gotta get it. So I just started designing levels. Some of them were a flop. I had one get kicked off of the online thing. That can happen. If you design a level in Mario Maker and it doesn't get any stars for like a month, I think, it will kick your level offline and say, and I don't know if it really says anything, it just kicks it offline. Like it kicks it off your uploaded levels. It keeps it in obviously your saved files, but it's just no longer online. I had that happen to one of my levels. And looking back at that level, yes, that level was pretty bad. I don't blame people for not voting for it one bit. It was I was still getting used to the tool. That being said, I started getting better, and I started playing with little gimmicks and making little themes for the levels. But I made this one, and I felt, and I still feel it was kind of my magnum opus when I was designing Mario Maker levels. And it was called The Forbidden Switch. So, we'll go into the story about my thoughts and how I designed the level. But this level took off in a big way. Spoiler alert. And it took off so much that, in a funny way, I have a bootleg version of it out in the world. I have a bootleg version of it out in the world, which I'm going to share with you. It's freaking hilarious. And so I'm going to talk to you about my experience in making the Mario level and sort of that, and we're just going to go over that real quick. So I'm just doing this for funsies, so it's not going to be the weekly video. It's going to be like an additional little bonus material video. So let's get to it, shall we? Hopefully this thing is working. Hey! So I'm going to share little clips from certain videos, and I'll put cards up top so you can watch the full videos. But it all started when I was watching YouTube videos on Mario Maker levels because I want to learn more about the tools and how they can be utilized and stuff like that, and see other people's levels and how people are reacting to them. So during the whole October, late 2015s, like 2015s, early 2016s, I was really into the Mario Maker thing. And so I was watching videos, and I watched this one from someone called Snowman Gaming. And basically, he had a how to design good Mario Maker levels videos. And so when he did that, he said, well, if you have some you want to share down below, go ahead and do it, and I'll give them a look. And so I was like, what the heck? I really like this one I just created. I felt really, really good about it. And I said, what the heck? I think I spent like about 4 hours on it. Like, that's around the amount of time I spent on it. Seems like a lot of, I don't know if I'm selling it short. It had to be at least 4 hours that I spent making the level. Obviously, that's just tooling with the tools, not like the design and the concepts where you're working and then you kind of have it in the back of your mind kind of what it's supposed to be and all that stuff. Brainstorming was probably like at least an hour or so, but you can do that while doing other things. But sitting down and using the tool and getting it done was like 4 hours. But yeah, I was like, okay, I really feel good about it, so I'm going to share it with them. So I got blindsided because I was just watching this video, and then I was like, so imagine I'm just watching this video and saying, oh man, this is some good levels, and I'm going to share them with you. And so I'm watching a video. Hold on. So he goes over this Zelda one, and he's like, okay, cool, it's a secret for everybody. Yay, that's great.
Spine Suffocation by Aaron Hansen.
Okay.
Yes, that Aaron Hansen. So
cool, I was talking about Aaron Hansen's video.
video.
Now, I saw this one on the Game Grumps. He had Danny play it or something like that. So I've already seen this level. I already kind of knew what it was about. So I was just kind of chilling out and watching
I'll know
this.
this level. It's really good. You start by seeing your goal above you, but you can't reach it yet. So you go to the right and have to go through a small obstacle to get a spring. This is keeping your feet wet into the theme, and teaches you about something that will come later, but a bit harder. Going up with the spring will show you these Koopas topped with spinies. Again, showing you something that will come later. You hit a P-switch and it takes you down to a door that's right next to where your first obstacle was. I like that it loops back to old areas. It makes the level feel cohesive and like it's a real place. Then the difficulty ramps up as you have to reach the mushroom before it falls into these spikes. Then damage boosts through to the next room. The final challenge is increasingly taller.
So I'm kind of lying in bed watching this video, and because I sometimes lay with my laptop and watch some YouTube videos before snoozing. So I'm just watching it. I like seeing cool Mario levels, and I kind of like, it's like, oh cool, I might want to play these sometime. I already knew about this one, as I said, from the Game Grumps episode. So I was just kind of watching it.
Stacks of Koopas and spinies until you jump as high as you possibly can to reach the end. It feels very satisfying to beat and really fun to play. The Forbidden Switch by Malicy or Tantroo.
And then at that point, I will reenact it for you. As soon as I went, you're kind of like paying attention to something else, really. Like, I know this level, so I'm just gonna like I'm reading something on the side or something or other, and then you hear your name, and then you're like, hold on, whoa, hold on, go back, go back. What? Say that again? Like, what? Like you start going like, what? And then you're like, oh my god. You're like, oh my god, really? You go crazy because it's like, this is like really the first time someone else who's more popular, quote unquote more popular or something like that, or then you references you and you're like, oh my god, you start nerding out. And then you're like, my video just came after Aaron Hansen's video. Or level. My level just came after Aaron Hansen's level, and Aaron's like a really, really nerd. Like, he's a pretty big deal in gaming, I guess. He's known, alright? So he does a video, like a Let's Play channel. So it's like, oh my god!
This one was really cool and creative. At first you enter a spooky ghost house that's completely empty. It's eerie, but there aren't any enemies stopping. Then you grab the P-switch at the end, and you have to retrace your steps back out of the house. But now it's haunted and full of scary enemies as you try to escape. This is just a really neat concept. The house is exactly the same layout, but now it's run rampant with monsters. I'm sure they just recreated it a second time and you're running through a different part of the map, but it really feels fluid like you triggered the apocalypse or something. It tells a story, which is hard to do in Mario Maker, and makes you feel like Indiana Jones escaping from a Temple of Doom at the same time. Welcome to...
So, needless to say, I kind of freaked out for about a half hour. Like, it was like around midnight that I watched this thing. And I literally couldn't sleep until like 1. Like, I was about to nod off probably in about a good 5 minutes or so. And then, like, that had just energized me so much. And I'm like, oh my god! Oh, it's so awesome! And then, like, so, like, my heart was, like, going, and I was, like, going crazy. And I was, like... So, it kind of felt cool to be recognized in that way. And I felt very humbled, because it's, like, there were probably a lot of good designed levels that he received. A lot of these ones that he received are very well designed, and it's like, I feel like it was like, man, was it really, was it? I felt like, man, was I really that good of a level to go on to a video like this? And it's like, so you know, the artist in you, it's like you after you get through the whole, like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. You're like second guessing yourself. It's like, man, you really shouldn't have been on there. There's probably so many other creative levels out there, and I've seen a lot of creative levels out there. Like, when people play my levels, I go look at their channel, and then I saw one person who really liked my levels. They're like, their levels are so good. They're so good. And it's like, why did this person star my levels? Theirs is so much better, so much more artistic, so much more creative. So you kind of like, it's kind of cool to be part of that community like that. So, unfortunately, like, for me, it's like I did kind of move away from it, even though it's like, because I started getting lost in my other things, like, you know, work and, you know, article writing and video making and whatever. So I kind of moved away from Mario Maker because it lost its newness, its freshness, or whatever. So, like, I still would love to create levels sometime, but that's neither here nor there. So I kind of put the Wii U away for a bit, and what I found as time went on is that I left it for about 2 months entirely. Like, I didn't turn the Wii U on for like 2 months because, like, work happened and it was like really, really, really absurd hours. And then I came back to it I saw the Wii U sitting there and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to check the level. And then I saw that it got like a lot of stars. Like, it got a lot of stars when this video happened. But then it kind of dropped off. But now it was getting stars again, like it had happened again. Like it was definitely a noticeable thing. And then I saw, oh my gosh, there's like 20 comments on this thing. Why is there 20 comments on this thing? That's weird. So I go in and I'm like, more for people from Snowman. And then I saw the words mojo.com. So as soon as I read that comment, I'm like, not that mojo.com. So this video here has about 250,000 views. So as soon as I saw someone comment, oh, I saw this on mojo.com, I'm like, no frickin' way. So I went mojo.com, I searched, the thing for mojo.com, and then I searched for mojo.com, and then I searched for Mario Maker, and then I found that indeed it was featured on. So there's this video called The Top 10 Insane Mario Maker Levels. I don't know what qualifies as being insane does, but apparently my level qualified as insane. So basically, this is from a mojo.com, and I'm going to link it once again. I'll link the full video in the description. So this is number 9. This is the Winners Don't Do Shrooms.
Reverse thinking feature. We've also seen numerous copycat levels that have tried to use this creative format.
This was Winners Don't Do Shrooms. This was a very well-known Mario Maker level where you're trying to avoid getting mushrooms. This was at number 9 on their list. So then number 8, which I'm surprised they even got number 8. Like, I don't even feel like I should be in here at all.
Switch. This level starts off rather simple. A long ghost house corridor that's completely empty, leaving the player with an eerie feeling of what's going on here. Then, in a twist reminiscent of the opening sequence of Super Metroid, you find an important item.
Now, it's interesting that he compared it to Super Metroid because I will do full disclosure here. I never played Super Metroid until I was about probably 26. And even then I was like, I never got fully invested or into the Metroid series. So I didn't really remember that sequence. And the reason that is because I just didn't grow up with it. Like, a lot of people did grow up with it, and that's cool. But I was like, I had Mario, Sonic, some of the obscure ones that I was into, like Journey to Silius, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. That's not really too obscure. What was the other one? Outrun. Those, like, there were some games that, but Metroid wasn't one of them. There was something that inspired this level, and I'll go over it when someone else is playing it. But for now, I'll let him continue.
In this case, a key switch and have to retrace your steps to take it back to start. Only this time, the once empty corridor is now filled with enemies. Kind of like you triggered something that you shouldn't have. Almost as if this house has a life of its own. Number 7, Donut Drop Dungeon.
Okay, now remember this level, okay? And I couldn't see who it was by.
Introducing a new mechanic to the player in a safe environment.
Let's go back for a second. I gotta go back and see who this was by, because I when I reviewed the video we're gonna see later.
Number 7, Escape.
Oh, God damn it!
Riding online. This one,
I'm gonna edit most of this out.
We all know that. This level start and have to retrace your steps.
I can't improv on this in the suit. It's hard, guys.
Enemies, kind kinda like you triggered something that you shouldn't have. Almost as if this house has a life of its own. Number 7.
Created by Line. So remember that name, because we're gonna find out later that. So I'm gonna watch a little bit of this, and we're gonna laugh a little bit later, and you're gonna see why. So see the concept here.
Sticking with Shigeru Miyamoto's philosophy of introducing a new mechanic to the player in a safe environment before allowing them to explore. This stage is built around the theme of swamps causing donut platforms to fall, thus giving Mario
So remember that theme for a moment.
leverage.
Because when I said my level got bootlegged, I realize now that this guy's did too. And we're going to see this in a bit, all right? So now let's... so I was waiting for somebody to play my actual level in its entirety before making this video, so that I could kind of explain what's going on and the concepts behind it and all that. So somebody did, and somebody actually played all 10 Mojo.com levels in their entirety, except for the number 1, because the number 1 is I can't remember what it is, but it's the one with that's basically Kaizo Mario on steroids and has a 0.001% clear rate. And of course, the person who was making that YouTube video is I'm not going to be able to do this level. Sorry, guys. But he did complete every other one, which is kind of cool. So this is the so here is that video. So he just completed Winners Don't Do Shrooms, and he's about to play mine in its entirety. Since he doesn't have commentary, I can actually commentate over it, which is very useful. I'll link to his video as well in a card so that you can watch the full thing if you want to. So let's go over my design philosophy on this level and kind of the thing that inspired it. So it's not Super Metroid that inspired this level. This level was mostly inspired by the first fortress in World 7 of Mario 3, which is the Pipe Maze world. So right here it's well, you can't get by that without a P-switch, so you gotta go searching for the P-switch, which is gonna trigger the whole thing. So the whole thing concept, and this whole empty house thing, was completely inspired by that level that I mentioned earlier, the first fortress. And the reason that is because as a kid, that level stuck out in my mind, because not only was it abandoned and empty, all right, but so here's where it gets triggered. And when you go back, you have to deal with all these enemies and all this stuff. So, and all the mushrooms on the way in become fire flowers on the way out. So that way, it's kind of upgraded. So the idea was I tried to show the player where the cool things were on the way down, so that when they came back, they were oh yeah, this thing's in the same place as it was. You know what I mean? The items are in the same place. Everything in the overall aesthetics in the same place. But now all these enemies are around. So as I was saying about the level that inspired this level, it was a puzzle level, and I realized that when I grow up, that's the reason there was no enemies is because the whole purpose of it was to find the way out of the castle. It was not having to deal with enemies or anything like that. So alright, so in review, yes, the Snowman Gaming was correct. What I did was I made a carbon copy of both the upper world and the lower world levels, and I used them in a way where as soon as you went through the door to get to the P-switch, you kind of went out on the other side so that you had the enemy side. There's a lot of other design things I did. But the thing that took the most time was painstakingly counting blocks, going, this has to be the same size as this one. It has to be the same exact details. Can't be one block off. everything has to be exactly where it was on the one side. I even reached my block cap, which I kind of put a comment in about the whole P-switch room that has that little eye window in the corner. It wasn't just for aesthetics. I had actually reached the block cap for the level. So I literally had to, take blocks away so that I could actually design the level. Because I had reached the block cap, which is insane, right? It's like you actually reached the limit. I'm sure a lot of these crazy designs reach their limits all the time. But as I was saying, the world that I'm talking about is the 7 First Fortress. So the design's like this. You come into this, there's a bunch of... You come in, and there's like a bunch of bricks. And like you go into the main room, and there's like places where the enemies should be, but they're not there. And that as a kid freaked me out. Because it's like you have the little circle thing where the little what I called the energized maxi pad would go around in a circle. You had the pad there for it, but the maxi pad thing was gone, as if it was killed or something. And you had the ghost, the little stretchy ghost platform where the little ghost heads should pop out and move around, but the thing's there, but the ghosts aren't there. And so it's like there's all these places where these enemies should be, but they're gone. It's as if they had vanished off the face of the planet. And it was haunting, and it was chilling. And it felt, you felt alone and isolated. Because a lot of the times it's like, you realize, like, with Mario without enemies to fight, it was like, I expect enemies here, and they're not here. It's like as if they had vanished. But the real trick of that dungeon, and the real challenge of that dungeon was trying to find the way out. Because it's level 7, you're trying to. It's the maze world. It's a maze. You have to find the way out. And I won't spoil where the way out is, but basically that's the challenge of the level, is trying to find out how to get out of the dungeon. It's not enemies and combat. So I was like, but what if? What I always thought in my mind as a kid, it's like, what if? What if the enemies came out from hiding? What if all of a sudden it's like this spooky thing of that realization, it's like there should be enemies here, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're there. You know what I mean? So that was kind of what inspired this level. And being inspired by other levels is great. It's good design. It's like, what elements of design did you like about this level? What made it memorable? How can you incorporate that into your own levels? Another level I made, which isn't really featured or talked about anywhere, but it was kind of a weird little experiment that I did. It was an okay level. I think it had its flaws and stuff like that. But it was one where basically I tried to emulate a cartridge malfunction, where I had this like little dungeon, and it's like there's weird little blips and stuff like you start to see little blips, and then like all of a sudden like there's like bits of data. It looks like they're just haphazardly thrown about, and it looks like your cartridge is just malfunctioning. And so I was like, because I was trying to emulate that a cartridge malfunction, from when you were a kid, because that would happen sometimes with your NES carts. You'd have like little weird blips of data, not looking quite right. But anyways, so now on to the fun part. So the Mojo.com video, which originally inspired this guy to play the 10 levels, has now 1 million views. So it's probably the most viewed content I've ever created on YouTube, or at least having a piece of something I created being on the YouTube. It's probably the most quote unquote viral. It's not viral. It's like 1 million views. That probably happened over a long period of time. But nonetheless, it's the most probably well-known thing I'm known on the internet for now, even though people don't connect it to this guy because it's just a name. Tantroo is just a name, right? So now is the fun part. So when I said about inspiration, there's inspiration, then there's almost downright theft, or at least like somebody's like trying to take the things from your level and just completely rip it off and try to make it their own, with success or failure. So this video I'm going to show you is like I started looking. It's like I wonder if because I wanted to show this level off and I wanted to see if someone played it, and now that they did, hey, look, here it is. But there's also this issue where, like, on my first search, this video didn't exist until like a few days ago. On my original search, I did find a video and I watched it, and I noticed something funny. And that was, I have a Chinese bootleg version of my level. Some Canadian dude made a Chinese bootleg version of my level. And I find that hilarious, and I'm going to share that with you right now. This is all you waited for. Now, I'm going to go back a little bit further because I realized something, and that is he actually did something even worse. And that is he took it's actually the same guy did both of these levels. So I'm going to go back a little further. So this is like some little kid's channel. I don't know what his name is, but I'll link up to the full video in the description, of course. I'm going to be good humor of this. So this Canadian guy, I don't know what his name is.
We are doing
Epic Man.
Donut Dungeon.
Donut Dungeon by Epic Man. Not Line, as you saw in that Mojo.com video earlier I showed you.
So you guys know I'm not gonna
So let's see what this Epic Man comes up with. Huh. Isn't this interesting?
To June 17th because I'm going on a trip
Huh.
for a week.
Well, this is an interesting concept, don't you think? And the funniest part is that the video maker actually somewhere along the line they realized that it's like, wait a minute, I think I've seen this before somewhere. And he's like only like, what?
This level before.
Yeah, right there. I think I've seen this level before. Yeah, you have seen this level before. It was someone else's. They emulated it quite well. I think they actually emulated it. Like, they didn't... Now, here's the thing you gotta understand about Super Mario Maker. And I'm gonna tell you kids something. Like, I think this kid did it the hard way. I think that this kid actually basically watched the video of that level and recreated it in Mario Maker. And they did a better job on this one. So I thought he was actually playing the original level at first. But then I realized that it was the same guy who did the next one. So I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He just was able to emulate this one easier because it's an easier concept to emulate. So I actually thought this was the original level, but now I realize he bootlegged this one too. So it's so let's go move forward a bit in the video here, and let's see his bootleg of mine here. Hey, look, he did the donut drop thing. He finished it.
Next one is the Forbidden P-Switch.
The Forbidden P-Switch. Not the Forbidden Switch. The Forbidden P-Switch. Alright, let's watch. Well, we start off in the undergrounds. That's kind of different, I suppose. Uh-huh. It's in the ghost house. Uh-huh. It's abandoned, I guess.
Oh gosh.
Uh-huh. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, this looks familiar. I don't even know what the purpose of that is. Oh, it's big old spiny man. Watch out. Oh, kid died. Oh, gotta start over. So, as you can see, harder to emulate mine apparently. And I can tell you it would have been, because it does use some advanced concepts about like placement and kind of like design and stuff like that. This party got pretty close. He used pipes instead of doors though.
Again, an oddly familiar level.
Once again, an awfully familiar level. I don't know if he played mine. Like, I wonder if he did, or if he saw the Mojo.com video or something. Oh, look, he even did the little box next to the little staircase thingy, only in the opposite direction. See, at least this one's distinct. It's like, this one at least feels like a Chinese, but the other one felt like a rip. Like, the donut drop one, when I looked at it. was like, oh, that's a complete ripoff. Like, it was so close to the original that, like, I had trouble distinguishing it at first. Until I realized it was the same person who did this one. And then I'm like, oh, wait. I see what you did, Epic, man. I see what you did. So, I'm going to save you some trouble, kids. When you play a level and you have it, there's actually a download button on the level. And you can actually download anyone's level and take it apart if you want. Nintendo is completely fine with that. They're very protective of their own IP. But if you design something with their tool, it's all up for grabs. I don't care. I did it for funsies. You know what I mean? You're not making any money off of it. It's kind of funny and humorous and kind of cute in a way. It's like, my level's so popular, I have a Chinese bootleg. Oh, whoa. That's actually kind of weird. Hey, look, he made it. Hooray! Good job!
Interesting level. I like it.
It is interesting, isn't it? Hey, at least it looks more like an original level. But I know where it came from because of the donut thing. It's like, things just don't add up here. Here's the thing, I'm not even mad. It's funny as hell. Like, it's kind of cool that you can have that kind of impact. It's like, oh man, this kid's emulating what I'm doing. It's so cute! Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? But it's wrong! So anyways, that's all I'm going to show you for the videos there. So, what I'm saying here is that, listen, man. Inspiration comes from the greatest places, and I was inspired by a level to create my own level. This kid was inspired by my level to create this level. I'm sure he wished he could have emulated it a little closer to the source material, kind of like he did with the donut block one. But yeah, there's a lot of work that went into placement, like trying to build the feeling and then kind of have it come through, because his was like the whole thing about mine, the difference between mine and his too is like, and this is kind of why mine sort of works and I don't think his really does, is that mine was a little more claustrophobic. Like the walls, the ceiling and the floor are closer together, and it wasn't really something I designed purposefully, but when I look back at it and you think about the small things, it's like, well, what makes my level look like more memorable while his is kind of not. I mean, his is more memorable in its own ways. It's a nice attempt, but there's something more memorable about mine, and that is because the level kind of forces you to see things in parts. Whereas his level, the ceiling and the floor were kind of like really far apart, and there was a lot of room, and I don't know what that pipe part was for. Like when he exited that one pipe, went into that one pipe, and then went back into the other pipe. It's like, there's no reason, either you didn't have room for in that part of the level. Like the reason I use the doors is the doors work on the same subroutine. So basically, if you download my level, you can download my level, by the way. As I said, there's a download button. So you play my level and then you download it. You can see kind of what I did is that there's a door that goes to like the empty side. So there's a pipe in the main. So basically there's an upper world part. There's a pipe that goes down into the other sub level. And then you go walk through the abandoned corridor, go through a door. That door goes to the bottom part of that sub level that's abandoned. You go through that. There's another door. That door goes to the P-switch room. So the P-switch room, that door is up high, and then you drop down. And then you can't go back because that door's up in the air. So you have to go through another door. That door goes to the enemy the version of that sub room. There's a door that goes to the upper level of the enemy filled one, and then the pipe of the enemy filled one goes up to the other the original sub level, or what they call it, I can't remember what they call it. And then that goes to the end. So basically, both the both the haunted house part and the upper part have a copy of each other. And so here's a weird little secret. If you go up after going through the enemy stuff, if you go toward the end of the level and you go up to the main level, if you start going left as if you're going to go back to the beginning of the level, it actually goes to a weird wall. So you'll know that it's not the same place because the far left of the screen at the beginning is the beginning. So you're not seeing any walls or anything. But if you go back to the left at the end of the level, the way you came from, at the beginning of the level, you're going to see a weird brick wall, which wasn't there, at the beginning. Which is why I knew people might try to do that. So what I did was I put these 4 huge ghosts in front of that area to try and scare the player away from that area and say, like, don't even go this way, go that way, because I don't want you to ruin the magic. I don't want you to ruin the magic. That would be terrible. Don't do it. I want you to go that way. Otherwise, the magic's going to be ruined, and you're going to see what I did. But anyways, that's enough rambling about a freaking Mario Maker level, I suppose. But I thought it was kind of funny, and I think a lot of Mario Maker levels, I think a lot of people who make really cool Mario Maker levels probably also have experiences with people bootlegging, quote-unquote bootlegging their levels, or it being inspired by their levels and making levels that were clearly inspired by what they did. I know I've seen a lot of what they call auto-scrollers and music levels that were clearly inspired by other people, and that's a cool thing to see people get inspired by it, so I'm not even mad. It's just kind of a funny little story I found. It's like, that's kind of cool, and it's kind of funny at the same time to see like the work that you do kind of being emulated by other people. I kind of feel bad for the line guy, though, who did the donut drop one, because that level was clearly a little more closer to the content material, and it's like that's where it's getting a little sketchy. But anyways, I don't have any hate for the Max kid or whoever it was, Max Payne or Max Level or whoever it was. But anyways, I'm gonna get the hop out of here. This has gone on way long, and I got to do a lot of editing because I had some technical difficulties in there. But I'm gonna get the hop out of here. This is a fun little video, and I'll get back to the main topics and stuff like that. So kick the likes, kick the subscribes, kick a comment in the comment section. Hopefully I didn't talk your ear off too much on something that's really just kind of a silly little hobby of mine, but I guess somebody likes this content. I mean, that's why people watch, right? But it's up to you to decide. So if you don't like it, just go, yeah, thumbs down. You suck. Get back to normal stuff. Get back to work, you lazy root. Go. Anyways, get in the hop out of here. Thanks very much for watching. See you later.